what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Behind the Reel podcast. I'm your host, John, and today we have a special guest on with us, Mr. Dusty Jackson, and he's going to come on and talk about fishing big swim baits. And not only that, he has kind of dialed in that swim bait bite using his forward-facing sonar. And we'll get into the specifics of that. And if you guys are interested in maybe some of his techniques, baits, equipment, boat setup, rods, reels, any of that stuff, go ahead and shoot comments over in that live comment feed over there. And we've already got some people warming up that comment section. Appreciate you guys. We will get to your questions and we'll try to interact with you guys as best we can. We've got kind of a few bullet points that we want to touch on tonight, but definitely going to appreciate the interaction from you guys. So if you have questions, put them over there. We'll get to them for sure. And excited to have him on. He's always posting big fish pictures, but excited to get into his mind and find out maybe some of the things that make him tick, some of the things he looks for on live sonar, and some of the things that he's learned about fish behavior, and I don't know, all kinds of good stuff. A lot of guys that watch the show have been asking for more big bait shows, and this is definitely one that a lot of people are going to be interested in. So I think Dusty is well known in the fishing community. If you're over there on Swimbait Universe and some of those other forums, you guys are probably familiar. And we got guys over in the comment section already. We got Ross over there, and he says that Dusty is greatness personified. So that is quite the compliment for sure. All right, guys, I want to go ahead. I'm going to bring Dusty on here, and we will go ahead and get into it. Make sure you guys do me a favor, share this with your buddies, share it on your personal pages. If you have any groups that you are participating in that are maybe either geared towards the forward-facing sonar stuff or the swim bait stuff, go ahead and share that over there. So we're trying to grow this thing, and Dusty's got a YouTube channel as well, and I believe he's going to start posting more videos there, and so I'm sure he would appreciate that as well. But we're going to go ahead, bring him on, and get right to it. Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Hanging out in the man cave. What do you call that little corner of the garage there?
Man, I got so much crap in here. It's hard to say. Anybody who's been over here knows, I got junk and hindsight laying around everywhere because I work on heavy equipment. So, it's just everywhere.
That's something.
But,
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's something. Go ahead.
I did a little bait board not too long ago, which kind of allows me to, get things organized more or less.
Sure. And that's what we're seeing behind you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Heck yeah. I need to organize my garage. That's why you don't see anything in my garage, because the rest of it is a mess. But for those that maybe don't know you, if you just want to kind of introduce yourself and maybe just give us kind of a brief introduction into how you got into fishing, and then maybe more specifically swim bait fishing.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Christopher Jackson. Everybody knows me as Dusty Jackson. I grew up in Lorton, Virginia, where I started fishing. I started fishing a lot with my uncle. I fished a lot of tournaments up there. I think another guest you had on, Matt, he used to fish the same body of water, Fountainhead. but that's where I learned to start fishing swim baits. I had nobody to teach me. When Steve Kennedy won, I think it was Clear Lake in '07, I had bought a few baits, Depths, Silent Killer 175. It was a Wake, and then a Glide in the same pattern, and it was a Depths riser one piece that would dive. It was you could wake it as well, but I still have it around here somewhere. I have to dig it up, but and I mean,
So you said 07?
Yeah, '07 is when I started fishing
Wow.
swim baits. Obviously I was more conventional,
Yeah.
but there was a fellow there. His name was Rob Greig, but he had fished a little bit of swim baits, and I had talked to him, and ultimately I had the most confidence in the bass tricks. So I had bought 7 and 8 inch bass tricks back then, and that's a hollow body softy
Yeah.
swim bait. And man, I was cracking them. I won some tournaments on it. And before then, there wasn't a swim bait scene that I knew of.
Yeah.
In reality, I didn't know of a swim bait scene until just a couple of years ago. But I really stayed off of Facebook more or less. I didn't post a lot, always secretive about, where I fish and all that, because I fished a lot of tournaments. A lot of people in the tournament field are very, secretive about fishing, not posting, stuff like that. But I had seen it. It was probably a year and a half ago. So before that, I had got, a Chad shad. So that was probably 3.5, 4 years ago. And, up until then, I only fished that depths a little bit here and there. It wasn't really a confidence, just playing around mostly. I never really fished it in tournaments. I've caught a handful of, fish on that bait, but I didn't consider myself a swim baiter at that time. I didn't
Sure.
really look deep into it. Always threw it on my flipping stick. But yeah, I mean, until a year and a half ago, something like that, 2 years ago, is when I got into the swim bait community. And man, those people are just awesome people. That community is just, I can't even tell you how much they've done for me.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a pretty tight-knit group of guys. I think, you've got you definitely have that sense of community. That's definitely a good word to use there. There's a lot of shenanigans that go on, on those
Sure.
groups, but I think that you have that everywhere you go, especially with social media. But you see a lot of people come together, helping each other out, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I think we mentioned this on one of our recent podcasts. It might have been the one with Matt Streichel that you were talking about there, even when we were talking about it, or maybe Adrian Dean even, I think is when we were talking about it. And there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. That are sending people baits, or maybe auctioning off baits or whatever to send money to people when they're falling on hard times and stuff like that. A lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't see even. So the little bit that you do see on those groups, just know that there's a lot more where that came from, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to get into it too much, because the negativity will draw you down.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yes, there is a ton of groups, hidden groups within the community, and yeah, it's just part of it. I mean, if you get into anything else, Pokemon cards, I'm sure there's hidden groups,
Those are some tight-knit dudes. You don't want to get down with the
100%.
Pokemon crew.
Exactly. Well, they say, like swim baits bring a lot of money. Well, you look at them Pokemon cards, I know last year they were going crazy money.
Hey, who's the guy? Like, dude, Swimbaits and Pokemon have come together a few times.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
we got the Charizard.
Yeah.
What is
Tony
that?
Tony Campos.
There you go. I think I've
Hmm.
even seen like some of the bigger name swimbait like guys make their crack at one or two of those Pokemon
Yeah,
lures
yeah.
as well. I can't remember who it was, but anyways, those two worlds collided once or twice. We
Yep.
got we got Piz Swimbaits in the house saying hello.
Yep. That's my buddy Paul. I appreciate him.
Yeah, so what up? We got Piz Swimbaits in the house. We must be doing something right. We got Dusty Jackson here for all of you guys that are just tuning in. He is big swimbait guy, forward-facing sonar guy. I haven't really got into that, but we'll definitely dig into some of that. I know a lot of people have questions about it. Something that I've noticed is, the big swimbait guys, a lot of the times you see kind of that minimalistic approach. You see, kind of that Butch Brown approach, right? You see the
Hmm.
smaller boats. You don't see a bunch of electronics. A lot of those guys, you're not even seeing like spot lock. A lot of those guys are just that's a minimalistic approach. Like, I'm throwing this one bait. That's what I'm doing, and they're pretty dedicated to that. Now, what does the advancement in marine electronics, like, how has that helped you out with specifically swim bait fishing?
Well, first of all, it gives you the confidence to fish in that area. Let's say,
Yeah.
I don't, knock on anybody that doesn't have electronics per se.
Yeah.
A lot of people knock on people with electronics.
It goes both
Um,
ways.
well, I mean, a lot more the other way with electronics, but at the end of the day, it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'll give an example. I dug a pond in my backyard. You know, with that terminology, people say, okay, well, I would dig it with my shovel all day versus using an excavator, a
There you go.
machine.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I look at it. So
Yeah.
utilize the tool, but in the same fashion, I've seen where it hurts.
Sure.
I see there's a lot of, for example, I fish a good amount with Johnny Ellis. And I mean, the man can read a bank like nobody I've ever seen, and pick apart wood with swim baits like anybody I've ever seen. Um,
He's in
he
your part of
doesn't
the country,
use,
ain't he?
huh?
He's in your part of you guys are kind of in the same neck of the woods.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All in North Carolina. But in hindsight, you don't have to have it per se, right? Um, if you're fishing a body of water, a bigger lake, it is nice. I mean, Johnny's been with me and he sees it, so I wouldn't knock it. It's if you have it, great, and use it. If you don't, if you're fishing a John boat, I think I talked to him today. I'd like to put a freaking, forward facing sonar on a John boat and fish some of the lakes that nobody's ever used sonar. You see a
Or a
different
kayak. We're
aspect.
seeing a lot of kayak guys doing it too.
Yeah, and it just brings new light to everything. That it kind of brings like what you kind of pictured on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give an example. Side sonar paints a picture. Forward facing paints a picture. Perspective paints a picture, and with all three of them, you can kind of put exactly what it is per se. Structure wise, where it is. So, man, it just makes life a lot easier, in my opinion.
How
If I'm
often are
fishing,
you? Sorry.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say. So you're talking about this stuff kind of elevating your confidence level, and just ensuring that there are fish in the area. How often are you actually targeting individual fish? Is that something you do regularly, or are you kind of using forward-facing sonar like we've used, our down imaging and stuff in the past where, okay, there's fish in the area, I'm just going to do my thing? And I'm sure you do both, but like how often are you actually targeting that one individual fish?
That's a good question. Because I do it a lot, to be honest, but it's hard to explain. You have to be over my shoulder because you got, 25 fish, let's say,
Yeah.
It's hard not to throw at the 25 fish, but within those 25 fish, 30 feet to the right, there may be a fish, right? It may be a bigger fish. A lot of times I find a lot of the bigger fish I catch are away from those schooling fish.
Yeah.
And it could be, anywhere from 60 feet to 150 feet. But they are not schooled up. I mean, I don't hardly ever see 7 and 8 pounders schooled up, all together. Not saying this doesn't happen, but in hindsight, most of the time I catch a lot bigger fish when it's away from that schooling fish. The schooling fish will bite, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
A lot with. Yeah, exactly. And most of the time it could be, 2.5, 3 pound fish. And they're fun to catch. And, sometimes I have to go out and catch those.
Yeah. What is your favorite bait or style of bait to throw when you're looking at the screen, when you're locked onto that fish, when you're trying to entice him? And I'm sure different, scenarios call for different presentations, but what is your go-to? What appears best on the screen? What kind of goes into that?
So, I mean, everybody that knows me, they'll, probably knows exactly what that is. That's a glide at the end of the day. I have the most confidence with the glide. Can you see it on, live, forward facing? No, not the best if you're fishing it way up in the water column. You can see the fish react to it, but, perspective is where that kind of gets at, changes the game on the glide where you can see it, from a down, like, what I'm saying, a whole down image of what's in front of you, and then the water column image.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, the perspective mode is what Garmin calls it. It's like a bird's eye view. You may know what like a Humminbird Mega 360 image, what that kind of looks like. It's going to be a very similar view, except for to the Mega 360, except for it is in a live, a live feed. So really good in that 15 foot or less, would you say?
Man, I've been using it in the 35 foot
really?
For certain things, but
Have
yes,
you
you're right.
Bottom at that point, or
100%.
You're just seeing maybe further out from the boat, I guess, when it finally hits the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it 100%. I'll send you some videos after.
Yeah.
But, it's not as clear. 15 and less is way clearer. Obviously, that span, to tell what size a fish is a lot harder. Let's say they're in 25 foot. They look a lot smaller. But when you scan over and check it with, down or forward, you can gauge that.
Yeah. Now, how do you have that set up? Okay, so you've got, just to kind of give everybody a run through of your setup, you're running like a Phoenix bass boat. Is it Phoenix?
Yeah, 920 Elite.
Okay. And then you've got what trolling motor? Are you running the Lowrance?
Yeah, Lowrance Ghost.
Lowrance Ghost. You've got, how do you have these transducers? So you've got the LVS 34 from Garmin, and you've got the Lowrance Active Target. So the Garmin transducer is set up in perspective mode.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just shaft mounted?
Yeah.
And then the active target is like barrel mounted?
Shaft mounted as well.
It is shaft. So underneath the
Correct.
perspective? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Yeah.
got 2 forward-facing sonar, transducers on the shaft of his trolling motor. No pole, no separate, foot-driven pedal or anything to steer those, right?
Correct. Everything's off the shaft. And I've tried it, both ways. For example, perspective on the bottom,
Yeah.
forward, on the top. It's better, in my opinion, with less interference.
Right.
With it on the bottom, Lowrance on the bottom, Garmin on the top.
Okay. And what is your take on not like having it on the trolling motor? Is it from like a rigging standpoint? Is it from just not having something else that you have to mess with? Like what's your take on that?
That's correct. What you just said there. Not having something else you have to mess with, but I stay up on the live stuff. I mean, like Humminbird just came out with that. Josh
Yeah.
Daniels told me about it,
Yeah.
so I had
Target
done
lock.
some reading. Exactly. That seems pretty cool. I mean,
Pretty cool.
yeah. I
You
mean, for
can
sure.
you can steer it with your trolling motor, or you can put it in a separate mode where you can steer it independently.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm thinking about getting it. I got Mega Live on my boat, but
Yeah,
my dang Ultrex just bit the dust. I'm gonna have to get it fixed.
That's the thing. Trolling motors in general, I don't know what you're running, but I work on a lot of people's stuff from time to time. But I see, I don't know, the Ultrex I had on my Ranger. So I just got this Phoenix 2 years ago. Before that, I had a Ranger, for almost 10 years.
Nice.
It was a 2008 520 VX.
Cool. Those are nice boats.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But the Ultrex ultimately I had on there, and I had some issues with it at first, and then in my opinion, it's always good to have good batteries, fully charged, run on a higher charge than running them way down.
Yeah.
And I think I was doing that, and that's what caused it. I can't say for sure, but I see a lot of people that run it way down, and it causes amperage and heat ultimately.
Yeah, mine was my. I haven't had the guys at work look at it yet, but pretty sure my steering control board went out. So hopefully it didn't cook my motor too.
Well, I had my steering on my Lowrance go out, and that's one thing I'll say. Lowrance service centers, it kind of disappointed me.
Did you go to a physical location?
Yeah, there's a few around here, but all of them, man, they act like they don't want to work on it.
Really?
Yeah, and I had talked to Lowrance about it, and I was going to become a service center myself just to work on it, and
be able to
which
do
I
it
got
under warranty and stuff.
Right, I got approved for it.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, and I have to fill out, the rest of the paperwork, but I had fixed it. It was only an $8 part.
Yep.
That what caused the problem, and they wanted it anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks downtime.
And
I said no.
for those of you guys in Kansas, you're in luck because you've got Russell Marine Products, and we don't mind working on your stuff. We're a Lowrance warranty service center. We're Garmin, Minn Kota, the whole 9 yards. We have people bring us their trolling motors all the time. You don't have to buy it from us. We're a certified repair center for all of those guys. So bring us the trolling motor. Typically, we'll say like 2 weeks. It would be kind of a max. So usually we can diagnose it within a day or two. You bring us a trolling motor, we'll diagnose it within a day or two. We'll order the parts, and generally we can have parts within a week or so. and we can get you back on the water pretty quick. If it's something that like you can still use in the meantime, leave it there for a day or two. We'll diagnose it. You can come pick it up, get back on the water, and then we'll call you when the part's in. And so we've even done it that way for a couple guys that, like a smaller issue where, like on the Ghost, the arrow indicator's not, moving correctly.
Line, or even the line with the shaft, right?
Yeah.
That was a big issue with the
It's like a magnet in there or something that was
exactly.
going bad.
Yeah. But mine in general, it started skipping, like it would make a crazy noise, and it ended up being the belt had broke one tooth.
Yep.
Sheared a tooth, and when it got to that tooth, it would slip. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just ordered the belt myself. But the crazy part is that you would think some of these service centers would have like
stuff on hand.
Yeah, the stuff that you see break on the regular, like.
Yeah.
For me, for example, in the business I am, we have a recommended spare parts list, and we keep it on hand. Even have the customers keep it on hand.
Yeah.
And none of the people around me had any parts whatsoever on it.
Yeah.
And obviously, me trying to say, "Hey, it's just the belt," you know what I mean? Like it would void the warranty.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I just didn't get into that and went to like 3 people. But I mean, Lowrance was good about it. I like Lowrance. They've been awesome.
Yeah.
They would, ship it out. And every person I talked to on that said what you just said, 2 weeks.
Yep.
And that's not bad turnaround.
No. Yeah, and to be honest with you though, like the Lowrance Ghost, and we'll get off this topic here because we may be lingering on the Lowrance Ghost too long, but like the Lowrance Ghost, I will say, has been the trolling motor with the least amount of problems out of all of them. Mm-hmm. So, if we bought a bunch of these spare parts, probably wouldn't have to use them for 4 to 5 months at a time. Like we're not getting in a bunch of these trolling motors. So if you guys are out there looking for a trolling motor, you're already running Lowrance graphs, it's a great one. And maybe Dusty can elaborate on that, but I think he's signing off on it.
Yeah. It's my favorite motor by far. Quiet. One thing I wish, like Minn Kota, they offer a bushing kit. Mm-hmm. If you recall the bushing, like when you hit the thrust, kunk, 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 kunk. There's a bearing in the Lowrance, but you have to take a lot apart to get to it. But at the end of the day, it's an awesome quiet motor. You take care of it. Very accurate. Just the quietness is what I like. I mean, you can zoom and it's so quiet.
Yeah, it is. It's very quiet.
Yeah.
Having it inside the shop on 10, you could be standing right next to it and you won't hear it.
No, it's brushless. Crazy. So, yeah, awesome stuff.
South Jersey Fisherman 028, what up? He says, what up behind the reel and Dusty? We skipped over one earlier. I think deserves circling it back around on Mr. Ross Sparger. How do you say that? Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He says, I watched Dusty catch a 9-pound bass, and he kissed it on the forehead and said, good girl. True story.
He did.
Good girl.
Yeah, he did. He did watch that.
You got him trained like that or what?
No. I really didn't think I was going to. I had the day before I had caught 8-10 with Johnny. And, Ross and Marty were coming down from Pennsylvania. And I said, yeah, we'll go fishing in a couple of days. It was cold. And so we went out to this place. And, man, it was windy, cold, blowing. And it was like the first 10 minutes. It was crazy. I mean, boom. And, I mean, it was like they fished for, I don't know, the next 3 hours. But it was so cold. They were like, done. And I had hooked up with another nice fish and lost it right at the boat on a Piz. And So, that kind of brought them back to life a little bit. And then Ross had caught a pretty nice fish.
Heck yeah.
Poor Marty didn't.
He didn't
He
hook
didn't
up.
cut. He didn't cut the mustard. No.
Oh man, that's all right. You'll
How-
get him next time. Hey, but that's a great segue into what it's like to be a swim bait fisherman, is it not?
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta have some tough skin, right?
that's right. I mean, people can see that I catch nice fish, but I do, skunk a lot, right? I mean, at the end of the day, uh, I'll give an example. Just recently, Monday, I went out, didn't catch nothing. Um, Granted, I only was out for 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah.
There was not too long ago, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I had went out a whole Saturday and didn't catch anything, and it kind of discourages you because so most people that aren't 100% swim baits, it's easy to pick up a Cinco, catch a 2 pounder,
Yeah.
but you live and die by the swim bait, which in I don't know, in the last 6 months, but time flies. It could be longer, but I have done swim baits only. Took all the conventional stuff, pretty much out of my boat. It's kind of funny story at the gathering. They were like, no conventional stuff in the tournament, and I was like, well, I got everything out. Well, in one compartment, I had a bunch of crankbaits, a bunch of stuff, and I was like, holy moly, I gotta get this out of here. And
So now
so that,
nothing
yeah,
conventional on the boat.
nothing. Yeah, it's all
It didn't
laying right
didn't
here.
make its way back in, huh?
No.
I'm curious though, when you go all swim baits, when you go all swim baits, let's say you got some guys out there that are like me, that are still fishing conventional lures and flipping jigs and doing whatever, drop shot and whatever they like to do, and they just like to throw the occasional glide bait or wake bait. A guy that wants to go all in, what bait categories kind of fill those previous conventional slots? Like, you got the glide bait, you got, do you go wake bait, do you roll with some cranked out? Like, what do you have on the boat, on the deck of the boat, that's ready to go at all times, that could kind of fill any of those categories that you could maybe target with conventional baits?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's nothing that's going to fill that void of a Cinco.
Yeah.
But I mean, the game's constantly changing in the swim bait world. People are innovative. I mean, I see some good stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the stuff not on the market, some of the stuff's close to the market, but at the end of the day, I see it constantly evolving. Um, what would be close to each particular thing? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, just,
Like,
I mean, and maybe not necessarily, what do you throw instead of a jig, or what do you throw instead of a square bill, but like,
right.
what are the different baits, the different style of baits? Like, you probably have a couple different of each category, but what style of baits do you have on the boat at all times that can kind of cover all the different bases, I guess?
I gotcha. Mainly for me, it's
Or are you
you
all
know,
glide baits?
no. Mainly for me, it's glides and wakes, and before. I mean, Johnny is the one who got me into wakes, more or less. Before that, I just strictly really fished all glides. And then this I've been getting into the deep diver because I did fish a lot of DD22s,
Mm-hmm.
cranking a lot, so that kind of goes hand in hand because that bite can be big on even a DD22.
Yeah.
So actually Paul with Piz Swimbaits is the one. He had got me a deep diver, and it really shined light to that bite, that particular bite.
Yeah.
There's a few other people in the industry that, makes good deep divers. Daniel, Josh, Mike Buka, and they're all comparative. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, what your fish want. One day, people kind of live and die by a certain brand,
Yeah.
and
Talk about it.
I don't, that's their thing, and I'm not saying I don't agree with it, but
Sure.
it opens your eyes. For example, me, that there's a different bite each and every day, and I've had people in the back of my boat throwing a certain bait and not get bit, and I'm catching 15 to their one, and then they change to that bait per se. At that time, they start catching. So it is a particular thing they're looking for, the bass at certain times. I really strongly, believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So you might have a deep crank, and you're definitely going to have some glides on there. Definitely going to have some wakes on there.
Yep.
Do you get into any of the like real one-off, like unique stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Still
a couple.
throwing some of those soft baits too, like you kind of got your start with?
Yes, here and there. Yeah. It's a certain bite, you figure out. But yeah, I mean, this spring I went to a lake in Virginia, and man, that's all I could catch on was soft bait and deep crank downs.
Yeah.
But I, this year kind of got me into it. Nailisa from Japan, he came and visited me and Johnny.
Wow.
This is actually his bait right here, but it got me thinking what I was missing.
Here, let me get you a little bigger on the screen. There we go. For those of you guys that are watching here, you can see. For those of you that are listening later on Spotify, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to come watch it on YouTube to see what he's talking about.
Mm.
Now,
But
what is that?
This is a wooden bait, but it's a crank down. It's a gill profile.
Yeah.
And I really never got into it until this year. I had Nail Lisa with me, and we were fishing a lake, a deeper, colder lake, and man, he was whacking them on them. I take that back. So the first day I was whacking them on the glide, and then the conditions changed overnight. And the next day, man, he was just eating them up on this. And so I had said, hey, can I try one? And, I have videos on, Instagram and Facebook with it. But man, in general, it got me onto that crank down bite, that little shallower crank down bite.
So how far does that? Doesn't look like it dives real deep, does it? Just a few feet, maybe, or
5 to 6 foot.
5-6 foot.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of a crappie paint job that B&A did on one of my legal dope baits there.
Yeah.
Pretty good looking color.
A funny story about this Nail Lisa. The guy is just beyond awesome. Keep in mind, he can't speak English, right?
Really?
I can't speak, Japanese.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we could relate. And if sometime you get a time, go back and watch, a couple of videos with me and him. Just so genuine and so intuitive on, wanting to make his bait better. Listening. I sat with him in the truck, for probably 5 or 6 hours over the few days we fished, trying to do the translation app, just to communicate. But he had sent this to me, made it because he was fishing, one just like this, a different color, and caught a crappie, like a 2-pound crappie out there on it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool ordeal. But I said, man, this color in the United States is, awesome color.
Yeah.
And he's like, he didn't know what that fish was per se. And I was like, man, would you mind doing a color like that for me? He said, I'm not comfortable. I'll try. And one day in the mail, man, he had put a picture and this bait and a note, um, which it tore my heart up, because that man, he cares.
Yeah, that's a good looking paint job there.
Yeah.
And what is his company again?
It's Monster Bait Development, or
MDB
yeah,
or
Monster Bait
MBD?
Development. MBD, yeah, Monster Bait Development. Hold on, I'll tell you real quick. I
Yeah,
think that's
South Jersey Fisherman says those MBD baits are worth every penny.
Oh yeah. They got
He
a different
says
sound. They're all wood.
he says I was helping him with the perch ones. He was trying to get the right color down for the Northeast and sent him a bunch of perch catch photos. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I was sharing this too for you guys to see in the background. I don't think we really mentioned it since we've been on here, but we are doing a giveaway. So for everybody that has commented over there, you are going to be entered in to a chance. We're going to go ahead and give away two things. So two separate winners tonight. Somebody's getting a hat. Somebody's getting a shirt. So appreciate you guys over there. We will get you entered into a drawing from our friends over at Big Fish Bullies. So for those of you that are watching, you can see a screen that I'm sharing, and it is on bigfishbullies.com. You can go get you some swag over there. If you happen not to win tonight, or maybe you do win tonight and you just want some drip, as they say, to match the gear that you win tonight. So appreciate them. And if you want to maybe elaborate on Big Fish Bullies and maybe tell us about your relationship with those guys.
Oh man, they're awesome people. To me, Josh, he's one of the first people actually that took a liking to me, and I like a personal relationship with people at the end of the day. Um, which started a relationship with him. We started chatting back and forth, and he he always, congratulated, always tried to push me to become better.
Yeah.
Um, which I appreciate that out of him. I mean, by far, I've never got to meet Sarah, but she sounds awesome. Um, at the end of the day, they make, in my opinion, the best sun shirts out there.
Okay.
And that's not because, I friends with Josh. That's in At the end of the day, they are and I've wore a lot of sun shirts fishing over the years. They are the most protective and most comfortable and the coolest, meaning like keep
Yeah.
you cool,
Good to wear
you
on a
know.
hot summer day
Yeah,
when you're
by
getting
far.
just bluebird skies and you're just out there getting beat up by the sun.
Yeah.
Us white boys need some protection from that sun.
Yeah, I mean, the sun is bad in general, it will do damage to you long,
Yeah.
extensive periods in it.
Yeah. And guys that are spending, like, what kind of time are you spending on the water? Like, are you, how many hours a week or a month do you think you're spending out there?
Uh, it just depends, week to week. But I would say anywhere from mm, uh, anywhere from 30 to 35 hours a week
Wow.
at
Full
certain
time job
times, you
almost.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say on the weekend, 10 hours each day,
Yeah.
that's
Sure.
20 hours, right?
Sure.
And, give or take on the weekdays, you know, I would say, yeah, 30 hours on average.
Couple hours here and there type of thing, maybe before or after
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. And if I get off early, or, get everything I need done, I'll go fishing. Especially in the summer, it gets darker later. So you
Yeah.
got a lot more time.
True. Yeah, this getting dark at 8 o'clock thing is for the birds, man.
Yeah, 100%.
I get off at 5 o'clock, and you got
Time to
about
get
a
home.
hour and a half of fishing at best.
Right.
Okay, so here's one from J Flesh Bassin. He says, Dusty dropping that knowledge on the electronics. That dude has it dialed.
Thank you, sir.
You will be entered
I know.
into the drawing tonight. Appreciate you, J Flesh. Here's a mutual friend of ours, Lone Star Swimbait, also known as Legal Dope Swimbaits. Oh, he's on the screen right now. See that? He's on the Big Fish Bully bandwagon too.
He is.
That was weird timing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was cool. Heck yeah. So Mr. Edwin Chardon, he's been on the podcast a couple times. He says, "Sup, fuckers." Is that his bait?
That's one, yeah.
Here, let's see it here. I'll get it. There we go. And that's the one you posted. You posted several 8-9 pounders on that thing, I want to say, within like a week or two. You were doing some damage with it for a while.
Yeah, I think it's 815 and a 810 or something back to back, or same day.
Same day.
Yeah.
Hell
and then a few 7s, and a bunch of 4 or 5 pounds. Which, once you send somebody that a 8 and a 810, why send them a 5 and a 4 pounder? You know what I mean? Like, it's you can't match it.
What I know he gets stoked, but I know you're friends with all these other bait makers too. Like, those guys get hyped when you catch big fish on their baits, don't they? That means a lot.
Oh yeah. They really. I mean, obviously they like you to put in time with it, and
sure.
A lot of people necessarily, like I was telling you at the beginning, I like it's just like, I'll give an example. Fishing a Zoom worm over the next competitor.
Yeah.
Not competitor, but next person's worm. Each one brings a little bit to the table.
Sure.
And you may, you want to keep those options open, because, you might catch them on this day because it's a speed worm, this one because it's a curly tail worm. I'm just saying, all glides aren't created equal, all wakes aren't created equal.
Right.
And a lot of people will, well, if you caught it on this, it would have bit this. That's not true.
Sure.
At the end of the day, they're all tools, right? Baits are tools, and I appreciate each bait maker that pours their heart into it, and you can tell the ones that are genuine versus the ones that are, not genuine in there to make a sale.
Trying to make money. Yeah.
Correct. Edwin, he's very passionate, about his baits.
Yep.
I like his baits. He's an awesome guy. He's been there to support me from day one. So I appreciate Edwin.
He's a good friend of mine as well, and super down to earth guy. And man, I'm proud of Edwin. He's come a long way. He came from a tough place, and he turned his life around, and him and his kids are just living it up, And it's really awesome to see that, and it makes some really good baits. And I've caught quite a few fish, over the last year or two that I've been throwing his stuff. I need to throw it more. But while we're talking about Edwin, I had this sitting here. That's the Tum Tum. For those of you guys that want to see that bait up close, pretty sweet. And
you got the tiny?
I have the tiny. I don't have it right here. I do have the tiny Tum as well. Which paint scheme do you have on the tiny Tum? This one's bait that BNA painted here. He does a really good job.
Which, that tiny Tum Tum is a special bait. I mean, that you look at the fish being caught on it.
It's crazy.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Mm-hmm. That's an Edwin paint job, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like it.
Correct.
Heck yeah. Have you spent a lot of time with that bait?
I haven't spent a ton of time. I've caught I don't know, maybe 3 fish on it so far.
Yeah.
My bite for these are usually in the springtime. I'll spend a lot of time this spring on this. Even coming into the fall, some places, I'll throw it.
Yeah.
The
And that
action
one's a little
is
bit
awesome.
deeper diver, isn't it? I don't think it's a super deep diver, but I think it'll crank down to, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it get all the way to almost 9 feet, depending on the line.
And I was getting his nuisance wake to crank down quite a bit when I threw it on lighter line, and I was actually cranking that thing down, getting bit constantly in that 5 foot depth range. And the fish, the fish just don't know what to do, and they see something like that coming at them. I feel like it's a square bill type of a bite, but
Oh, 100%.
it's funny when you're catching those little ones like you're talking about. You catch those little tiny guys on those big swim baits. What do you think's going through those fish mind at that time?
They're hungry as hell.
You think they're hungry? Because my concept is that it's more of a territorial thing, and in some of those situations where it's like, especially when you have a bait that almost looks like a bass or something. It's
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
this is my turf, homie.
yeah, that could be true. I mean, in general, if you look at, like I built a pond, right? And I put F1s in there from this big,
Hmm.
right? And I've seen them grow. I spend a lot of time out there watching them. And if you look at what I mean, they try to eat things sometimes twice as big as themselves.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
true.
aggressiveness or if it's their natural, instinct.
Well, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, who
But yeah,
knows? Sometimes we give these fish too much credit, right? Like they do stupid shit like that. We're like, what were you thinking?
right. If you, I got a couple of the F1s, pellet trained, so I
Okay.
feed the gills a certain high protein food, which
Hmm.
that in turns, for the bass.
Yeah.
But I got one bass, and he's F1, which that one is so much bigger than the other ones. It's like 14 inches, but it every morning, and every evening, it'll be in the same place waiting for me to bring pellets. It's
Wow.
crazy. It's just wild. He just comes up there, bloop, bloop, like a goldfish.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that is. Yeah. So is that's something for you to like? It's almost become a hobby, or a pastime, like learning about, how to grow a successful, ecosystem, right? I mean, but ultimately, is that for you to go catch a 10 pounder out of there, or is that the goal? I mean,
I mean, I haven't even fished it. I have several big ones in there,
do
right?
you?
And I've seen them blow up. I don't know. I like watching them, man. They're my pets, right? At the end of the
Really?
day, and I want to see how big I can grow one.
Yeah.
Um, and you go through phases in your life. I grew up on a farm with a pond, so I learned. I was fishing at an early age, like 4 or 5 years old. If you look on my Facebook, you'll see me holding a 8 pounder. I think I was 8 years old at the time, and I caught it on a spinnerbait. I remember it. I ran it
Really?
all the way up to the house, so excited. And I was like, I want to, told my dad, I want to mount it. I want to mount it. And he's like, nope, bringing it back to the pond. And it was just funny, because now I look back, I'm like, I'm glad we put it
Yeah.
back in the pond.
Hell yeah. So your dad kind of instilled that in you, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I grew up, like I said, on a farm. There's, I don't know, 20-acre field in the back, and my dad had built like 4 ponds on the farm, and that pond was, called Jackson Pond, and it was a spring-fed pond, which out of all the ponds in the farm, that one grew the biggest fish, or
Nice.
Potomac River fish.
Okay. Let's see here. All right.
The
Yeah,
and
go
I'll show
ahead.
you another one too. This is a good bait that is special, right? At the end of the day, it's a unique swim. Um, I had it sitting right here. I was thinking about it, but it's a line through, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen much about them, but so
No.
when a fish gets it, right, the line's right up here.
Right.
It, you know,
But
the
that's a
harness
hard bait,
comes out.
right? Or is it a
Yeah,
soft bait?
it's a hard bait
Okay.
out of resin.
Who makes that one?
A fella, I mean, his name's Rod Hallman.
Okay.
Um,
So
but he
kind
doesn't
of an
sell
underground
these.
thing. Okay.
Yeah, he I mean, he just more or less wants the people to fish his baits, not to turn them
Yeah.
off of them. But him and I became pretty good friends in the last year, and he doesn't live too far from me. Um, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think he makes a good quality bait, which is just odd, right? It's an odd bait. The
Yeah.
line comes out of here. You would think the swim would be kind of funny, but
Right.
it's a unique swim that it's very hard to match.
When do
It's
you
so
like to
light.
throw that one?
I throw it quite a bit. It's so life looks so realistic, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just a different way to fish it. Your cadence, all the whole 9 yards. Trying to think. I'll grab a couple here just to show. Um,
And I'm putting everybody that has been commenting over into a drawing here. So
okay.
if you guys have commented, I'm putting you into a list, and then we'll do a random number generator to figure out who's going to be our winners. So if you haven't commented yet, comment something over there. We've got a lot of people that are talking up the Big Fish Bullies. Had one guy talk about the sweatpants. Uh,
Oh, that's what I got on right now.
oh, okay. Got
They're
the
awesome.
camos.
Most comfortable sweatpants
Are they?
by
Okay.
far.
Heck yeah.
They're a lot of their stuff. I mean, like their beanies, for whatever reason, they're warmer than any beanie I've ever put on my head.
Okay.
I don't know if it's got like a
Heck yeah.
special stuff in it, but there's a certain beanie he makes that's just crazy warm.
Somebody says the sun shirts are legit. You kind of touched on that earlier.
Yeah,
Brandon Sherrill says he needs some BFB gear. Well, I'll get you entered into this drawing, Brandon.
that's right. Josh is an awesome fella, man. At the end of the day, like, there's only a few people I can say, that I know with that kind of energy and just always positive, never a negative thing I see. And if somewhat, I would say somewhat negative, it's like he gets it with a positive. Like there's not a negative, but you know what I mean. If it's hard to explain.
Tries to put a positive spin on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Like his energy is just,
I
he's an
think those are
awesome
the
dude.
people that are successful, in life. I think that,
Sure.
there's people that kind of like to dwell on the negative thing. Like bad shit's going to happen all the time, all around you. And, how you deal with those circumstances is going to determine, how things shake out for you,
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure bad stuff's happened to you. I know bad stuff's happened to me, and you just got to see your way out of it. And if you dwell on the negative things, then, kind of, you can kind of manifest your own destiny. If you're dwelling on negative things are just going to continue to happen. If you're constantly focused on positive things, and and that's why I like forming these relationships with people in the industry. People that are like-minded, people that are fishing big baits, people that have the same interest in you as you, forming those relationships with them and, helping each other out when you need help. Like, I'm not saying to do it for that reason, but it'll always come back to you.
Oh, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, you try to kill people with kindness. I mean, you can react negatively to people, but is that going to, win or help the situation? I don't believe so. Yes, I do lose self-control sometimes.
Sure.
We all do, but I try to react in a positive way. A lot of people that know me, are real close to me. I'm a certain, I'm really serious when I'm out there fishing, right? It's not
Yeah.
no playtime, no game time. I'm concentrated on that. And,
Focus.
some people can take it the wrong way, and it's not about that. It's about when I have the time to fish, I want to do it 110%. Or
Yeah.
anything I do, when I built this house or built this shop, I'm going to do it to 110%.
Oh, yeah.
There's only in the swim bait world, there's a lot of people, I think, I wouldn't say in it for the wrong reasons. It's like a group to be in, but at the same time, just get out there and fish. Quit, doing the mail calls and asking, a question that you could search, in a engine, and that question has been answered. Just go fish. If you say, hey, look, this is what happened when I was, fishing, I can respect that. But
Yeah.
before you ever try it, you got to fail in order to win, if that makes sense.
You gotta be okay with failing. You gotta be able to pick
Right.
yourself back up. And I think that, when you're talking about if you're going to do something, you're going to do it 110%. That's probably something that, you were taught as a kid, something that, that you're going to pass down to your kids. Right. And so that is important. And I'm trying to teach my kids that same thing, sometimes they think I'm being tough on them. Like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. We're not going to sit here and we're not going to half-ass it. Like, we're going to do it right. And they think dad's being an asshole sometimes, but like, they'll appreciate it later on in life. At least I hope.
Well, that's the same with me as a kid. I at times I thought, my pops was a pain in the butt, but I respect him to this day, of how I was raised, and I appreciate them. And I hope they would do the same, my kids, like you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Keep that tradition going, because, as time goes on, some of those morals aren't getting passed down.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
South Jersey Fisherman says, has Dusty got into any of the glides that have wire guards to allow for pitching and cover in near wood, sort of like the G guard for the K9 and TK?
I have not. You're going to get hung up, right, at the end of the day, I think. But once you start casting, you make, it's just like flipping and pitching. Once you start doing it, you get pretty good around wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really doing a glide that deep in wood. So
Right.
I can see the wood, I can see the glide. Crank downs, for example,
Different, yeah.
a little different because you're hitting the wood. There are some crank downs out there that are worse than the others, meaning like how they're weighted, right? Let's say they're weighted like this.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit the wood, and when it wants to float up, it still faced like that. So now it's going right back down in that wood.
Yeah.
Constantly, versus kind of leveling out, and then you're going over the wood.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And then a lot of that can have to do with probably like the bill angle and stuff, and that front bill kind of protecting that front treble hook from getting hung up as you're. And I know that one that I have from Edwin, it'll crawl right over wood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even care if there's. I'm looking for those spots, and that's where I'm getting bit at too. A lot of those fish aren't getting pressured, and definitely not seeing baits like that in that scenario because guys are afraid that they're going to lose $100 bait, you know, in that brush pile.
You ever fish a scatter rat or scatter? What is it called? Scatter. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-uh.
So I try to tell people, you know, if you can make this bait, I can guarantee you 110%. Well, I wouldn't say that. 99%. You won't get hung up. And it's my favorite crankbait, but you can't find half of them anywhere. Here it is right here. If you can make a bill like this.
Oh, a scatter wrap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I've seen those, yeah.
You can't get them hung up, man.
Really?
It's crazy. It just blows my mind. And the erratic action it brings to the table, you know, when I conventional fish a lot, I have, I don't know, 10 of them, but I like fishing them. I mean, you can bring it through some wood that most things get caught up in. It's that bill design, I think.
Yeah, and it to me, you know, just doesn't look like it'd be something that I'd want to throw in that scenario. But
I'm telling you, man, you try it. If you can get your hands on one, go throw it at any wood. It's crazy what it will come through.
Fire Jumping Jordan says, "What's up?"
So
David Sindrick says, "No more mail calls, please."
No more mail call.
There's a lot of mail calls on there, and
yeah,
it's funny though because there is a lot of, and I'm not a full-time swim baiter. I'm not throwing them as much as I probably should, but there's a lot of guys on there, and you wonder if they've ever caught a swim bait fish ever. You know, that you like all you're seeing is mail calls, like, "Oh, look what I got," or you know, they're always looking for a new bait. It's like they're looking for something to hang on the wall. I guess I don't know.
I tell you, man, which is crazy about, you know, and we won't go on the subject too long, but I'd rather see a 1, 2, 3 pounder than the mail call all day long that you're trying. I don't care what size it is. Just post it. I enjoy seeing it. I enjoy seeing cast to catch the most but at the end of the day, you know, you can, for example, myself, if I post a cast to catch, I may get a certain amount of likes. I'm not there to get likes.
Sure.
At the end of the day, if you post a picture, you get twice as many likes. But me personally, I'd rather watch a cast to catch, you know, when I open Facebook than a bunch of mail calls because I'm gaining something from that cast to catch. You know, a couple things. It makes me, it's just like if you're watching, you know, a bow hunt, but if you watch, you know, deer hunting, it gets you in the mood, ready to go. Like you get you pumped, ready.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the bait makers definitely like seeing those cast to catches.
Well, I mean, I do personally. But I got right here a few baits I want to show.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about the live a little bit. I got something.
Yeah.
So, you know, I enjoy supporting a few handful of people. You know, one is F5. I love their rods, the parabolic. I fished a lot of the rods. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody makes a good rod. Leviathan, they're a good rod at the end of the day, just as well as F5. It's, you know, who you choose to support. I would assume that's what, you know, most people, you know, IROD. Right. I mean, IROD, Akuma, they're all good rods as well at the end of the day. So I don't have anything bad to say about any of the rod makers, but I choose to support, you know, F5 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I like their rods. I'm a big person who fishes parabolic, right? I like very parabolic. I've learned to like gamma round bends. They're very, you see, very light hook, but they're very sticky. Okay. That's one thing I like. But your parabolicness goes good with that hook. A lot of
Gotcha.
people, if you go back to, a lot of people like a heavier, stiffer rod and setting a hook, you load these parabolic up with glides, and I feel you won't lose as many fish. I was having a
Sure.
problem, back in the spring losing wake fish. Keep in mind, I really just started wake fishing.
Yeah.
Um, I asked Johnny. I probably lost 10 fish in you know, a few days there, and I was like, man, what the heck am I doing wrong? So I, regrouped and tried to figure it out. And, I fish a lot of, 15 to 20 pound Iserline triple X.
Hmm.
But on wakes, particularly, I
Is
like
that like
throwing
a
25.
copolymer or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And, I have a couple, or well, one rod that I throw fluoro on, and that's it.
Okay.
And that's for mostly deep divers. And every once in a while, I'll tie a glide on um, if I'm trying to get a little deeper bite. Um,
What is it? What is it about that copolymer that you like on the glide specifically?
the stretch.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, there's so many co-polys out there, but actually Johnny got me on that triple X, and
Hmm.
man, I casted off a few baits, or more than a few baits, a lot of baits, um, and
With what
you know,
line?
big game.
Oh, okay.
Don't let a couple people hear me say that,
Oh
Mike.
yeah, that's a fan favorite for sure.
Right. So I'm not a big fan of it. I used to be, but that stuff there, I don't know if I learned to cast better or the knot strength is just way stronger. Um, you know, in my opinion. But I wouldn't change the line for anything. Um, you know,
Is that helping with like the action? Are you using more like rod twitches with that?
no, I do
No.
mostly real input only.
Okay.
That's it. Every once in a while, if I'm trying to do very like get a erratic bite, like I will do rod twitches, but 98% of the time it's real input only, and with a parabolic setup and a certain line, you got stretch. When the bait's way out there, your line is flexing as well as your rod. So
Hmm.
you know it's just all at the end of the day your cadence and what works well for you, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, that's a from the gathering. So that's a Piz,
Nice.
Swimbaits, Glide,
That's a
which
good looking bait.
yeah, I mean they're awesome baits. There's I wanted to show you. Well, um, that's the deep diver
Oh, nice. Is
max
that from
depth.
Piz?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
What is that like? 7, 8 inches, or
yeah.
that's a good
Well,
size one, ain't it?
but I tell you, man, the bites it gets, it's crazy.
And
Like
that
if
thing will.
you,
How deep does that go?
I can. It just depends on the line and your
Yeah.
cast, but I mean anywhere from 11 to 13 feet.
Oh wow.
You know, I
Oh yeah.
mean if you did lighter line, you probably get 15 foot. Um, this little wake I like.
Yeah.
It's just a cool action on it, but that's LFOD,
Okay.
which I like John over there and Kobe, and this one I don't like. That's why I don't have hooks on it.
Okay.
No, I caught a lot of fish on that bait.
What is that one?
Swimbait garage.
Oh, the hyper shad, or
Yeah,
is that what that is? I've heard a lot of good things about that one.
yeah, it's an awesome bait. At the end of the day, I mean, a lot of people make awesome baits, and I can fit it into my lineup, man. I'm happy, and the bait maker, some of the baits are harder to get
Mm-hmm.
than others, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that, I'll just give an example. Say you can't get a certain bait, but if you go to like Swimbait Universe Gathering, man, you can get pretty much any bait you want there. You
Yeah.
just got to attend, and a lot of people, I wish more people would come out to the events because I think they would have a good time.
Yeah.
There's one in Texas,
I think I'm going to make it to that one.
That would be awesome.
You going to be there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be an awesome time.
Get out and fish Lake Fork together.
Yeah.
Show me that forward-facing sonar game.
Yeah, we didn't get to touch on it a lot, but if I can tell anybody, get up with me, and if I can get you out for a day, you look over my shoulder, you'll see, and I can explain it better, but what you're looking for in general, right? Obviously, let's say you're fishing river systems. There's a ton of fish out there at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell species from this species to that species, but you make 1,000, I'll go back. If you make 10,000 casts by having your head down looking at a screen, it's going to start to get you to understand that screen. For example, I try to tell, and I think I told you this, but as soon as you come out the wound, you don't know what everything is until your parents teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes, it's just like that looking underwater. You got to spend time with it. And I don't think a lot of the great people that are doing forward-facing sonar can really explain it well. It's just you've got to spend the time doing it. There's the basics, right, to it. Setting it up, what you prefer. There's ways to set it up differently, settings-wise, application-wise. But just spend the time with it. If you have the opportunity to use it, spend it, put your head down, continue to use it, and learn. If you catch a fish, notate that in your head. Well, what that was, where it was, and what it looked like. And then try to replicate that. Like when you get on a flipping bite, you try to replicate, is it on a ledge? Is it on, 3 foot of water? Vice versa. There's a lot to do it.
Are you doing a lot of that? I mean, at this point in, your forward facing, game, I guess, is that like, are you not making a cast until you see something on the screen?
I mean, there's a lot of times, yes.
But then there's times where you're not seeing anything on a screen, maybe.
I'll give an example. I'm seeing fish all the time. No matter where you go, you're going to see fish.
Sure.
It's how they respond, right? One. The second thing, shallow, I'm talking about on the freaking bank. Like, not a foot of water, but up on the bank.
Yeah.
That's hard to dictate if there's fish there or not, one.
Yeah.
So don't get discouraged and say, well, there's no fish there. That's not true.
Yeah.
I mean, this year has taught me so much in a foot of water or less, which Johnny's the one who I'll credit it to Johnny. But there's fish there that you can't even see. If you ran the bank with your trolling motor, those fish are gone by the time you're 50 foot away, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a certain way to fish it. And man, it really pays off with some big ones.
Oh, yeah. Big Fish Bullies says, preach. Okay, so that is what we will do here is we will go ahead. We're going to give something away. Shout out to Big Fish Bullies again. You can check those guys out over at bigfishbullies.com. Get you some apparel. Also, they've got a pretty big following over there on Instagram. You can check them out on Facebook. And then also, what's your YouTube channel? Was it CD Jackson?
Fishing. Yeah.
CD Jackson Fishing on YouTube.
I tell you, Josh, at Big Fish Bullies, I don't care if you have a 2-pounder, 8-pounder, or 25-pounder. Send some pictures to them, post them. Man, they love sharing people's success. That's
Hell
one
yeah.
thing I love about Big Fish Bullies. Their whole outlook on it doesn't matter, where you come from. If it's small, big, large, they are there to share it and share your success with them.
All right, there they are right there, Big Fish Bullies. What I'm going to do, we've got, what do we got? I got to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 17 different people there. I've got you entered in. I think we've got everybody accounted for. So we're going to do our drawing here. All right, first one is number 14, which is okay, Mr. Andrew Tails. Andrew Tails, you have won a Big Fish Bullies hat. So if you guys are looking at the thumbnail in this video, I've got a hat on there, and just get with me, Dusty, or get with Big Fish Bullies there. I think we'll make sure you get what you need. We'll just need an address from you, and we'll get that sent out. So make sure you get with me or Dusty, and we can get the information where it needs to go, and we will get that hat sent out to you. Appreciate you commenting. Again, that is, let me go find him, pop him up on the screen here. Andrew Tails, where you at? He commented somewhere. There he is. He said amen. That's what he said. Okay. That got you entered in. All right, we're going to do it one more time. This time it is number 16. And that is going to be Fire Jumping Jordan. Appreciate you, Fire Jumping Jordan, tuning in. He's been on the comment feed on several of our podcasts here. And he is a Kansas guy. So appreciate you, man. He commented a few times tonight. He's got a T-shirt. And he said his most recent one, sup guys, Fire Jumping Jordan, get with me, get me your address. I'll get it where it needs to go, and we'll get you that T-shirt sent out. So, it's really cool to be able to give away stuff like that. And, so if you didn't win tonight, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you commenting. If you want to get a shirt or a hat from these guys, as you can see in the background, they've got a bunch of different options there. Like Dusty said, they've got some really nice sun shirts. He's rocking the sweatpants in this cooler fall weather. They've got hoodies, hats, the whole 9 yards. So make sure you guys go over there and support them, because they wouldn't be able to support stuff like this if it wasn't for people buying stuff along the way. So we appreciate them.
That's right. I'll tell you something real quick.
Yeah.
That's a deep diver, right? And that's what I was saying about.
Sure looks like it.
Innovate it to the market.
Yeah.
That gives you two different options.
You got two different line ties on it, or?
Correct.
Okay.
Which that's awesome today, right? And the reason I say that, because it gives you two different actions with one bait.
Yeah.
And I appreciate people that, try to be think about us as fishermen versus
selling two different baits.
Well, not just that. A lot of people catch the fisherman's eye.
Yeah.
With the, paint. The usability is no good in some applications. Not saying, somebody can't catch fish with them, but there's a lot, now that you see just jumping in the game, claiming they've been in there a long time, builders, so on and so forth. But in hindsight, I really like that, in general, for the option to be able to, head wandering on the nose. Here is a lighter swim, like a softie kind of, believe it or not. And it gets, each one will give you a little bit different depth and different option.
Sure. What is that one?
That is a trashy, fast trash.
Yeah,
Trashy
I see
swim baits.
posting some pictures here lately.
Yeah, I tried to make a group,
group?
for, catches on
those.
trashy. Yeah, and ultimately, Josh, he's, I guess introverted or whatever that word is. I am very similar like that. Like I said, up until a couple of years ago, to post on Facebook and stuff. So a lot of people enjoy his baits, and we all come together to enjoy him together. So, I appreciate his work as well.
So is that Big Fish Bullies then? Same
What?
guys or
No.
no, different. Somebody
Josh Blue is the person who does trashy swim
making
baits.
the trashy. Okay.
Yeah. There's what? Legal Dope is Edwin.
Yep.
Piss swim baits. Swim bait garage. LFOD. I don't know. If I missed you, I'm sorry. David Sidrich, actually, I don't know his name, DC Swim Baits. His softie is a pretty cool bait. It stands, like, for example, if you threw a regular softie out there, it'll lay on its side, right? You know what I mean? Once it hits the ground, It doesn't sit straight up. Well, he has figured out a way to make it, no matter what, it sits straight up. You know what I mean? Like a fish. So I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but, the winter's coming, and I'll be, fishing more softies.
Hell yeah. What about for those guys that maybe they're not throwing big swim baits? Do you have a recommendation, like a cheaper price point option, maybe, starter kit?
Yeah, I would say one of my favorites for the swim, and he's not crazy price. And I mean, I don't know what price you're talking, right? Range.
Sure.
So like $80 to $100. Somebody could help me out, but I bought this, I don't know, probably 2 years ago. But man, it's Dudley Poet, I think.
Yeah.
So
Poteed or something like that.
Yeah. He makes an awesome cheaper side bait that is really, undermined it. That is an awesome swim. Obviously like the S Waver, which I have one up there.
Is that something that you kind of started out with? Did you start out with some of the bigger box options, or did you dive right into the garage built stuff?
No, I mean, you think like the depths, right? The 115,
right.
140 or something, 175.
Sure.
That's what I started with, and those were expensive.
Right.
To me, to take a chance on that.
For sure.
But I don't know if you know of so I had fished at depths that I caught a lot of fish on was a Baskariski. You ever heard of those?
Mm-mm.
Not many people have here in America, but so it's a frog. I know I'd have to dig through the box, but it's like a triangle frog, and it reminds me of a what are those things? I haven't got into it, but they're with metal wings.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank too, but kind of like that.
So
Charizard type bait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I couldn't think of it earlier either when I was talking about that.
Yeah, I can't think of it, but it's like
crawlers,
that. But
crawlers.
Crawler, there you go. it's a crawler, but it's a frog.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance, look them up. But that was really like the first swim bait I ever fished. I mean,
Nice.
you know, Green Top Sporting Goods. People probably know what that is, but man, they had all kinds of crazy stuff back then. So they had the depths in there, a lot of depth stuff, and everything on it was, you know, Japanese or whatever writing. There was no
Yeah.
American writing on it. So that's where I kind of picked it up at.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Been doing it a while, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been fishing a long time. It's crazy that, you know, you look at it, the stuff I post now, I would never dare. You know, if you can go like through old like photo albums from 2000, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, I still took, you know, those kind of pictures back then.
Just didn't share them.
Right. You know, I think it was I didn't have Facebook until I don't remember. 06, 07, somewhere, 08 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was with the BlackBerry phone is when I first got Facebook.
It's been a while.
Right. And I didn't know what I was doing, so, you know.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, I appreciated having you on tonight, and you definitely dropped some knowledge on us. I think, you know, one day you might have to do some forward facing, like maybe try to film a video that kind of puts that. I don't know how much, you know, you want to give away on that, but I think people would definitely be interested in seeing, you know, here's what to look for type of thing. Even
so right now, you know, I video a lot with, you know, with the Garmin. So I keep telling everybody I've bought a lot of stuff from Russell Marine. I enjoy those people, but that's the reason I bought it, so I could video.
Sure.
So I just recently found out where I can do a cast to catch and show the video of the live while I'm doing it.
Yep.
So that should be pretty cool here soon.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. I don't see many people doing that. But at the end of the day, that's a good thing, what you just said, to try to do some videos and to show the, you know, what I'm looking for per se, you know, for fish wise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank Big Fish Bullies again for the giveaway. That was a really cool deal there. You know, we've got people that may not even be into the swim bait stuff, that might have a little piece of that culture, and this might just get them started in it. So I think Fire Jumping Jordan was making comments on how big the bait was. So maybe we convinced him tonight, you know, that this is something that, and I will say, I have a couple videos of me catching fish on the legal dope stuff. So, so Jordan, go check that out. You can catch fish right here in Kansas on these big baits. It might seem crazy, but you can do it. And you're not going to be the only one doing it, but it's still not as common as it is in other parts of the country here. So this is the time to do it, for sure.
And it's rewarding, man. I mean, you know, it's hard because, like, some people have that mindset. They put their mind to it. I'm going to do it, and that's what it's going to be, and not pick up a Cinco, because at the end of the day, it's easier to pick up a Cinco and catch 2-pounders, and you possibly could catch a 6-7 pounder with a Cinco. You know, I've caught many on a Cinco, won a lot of tournaments on a Cinco, but at the end of the day, there's just something about the way they hit a swim bait. It is like nothing out there.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a different feeling, but it is rewarding. You know, all the time spent behind that bait is not just going to happen in your first cast. So don't expect that. But you heard it from Dusty tonight. He's getting skunked. You know, he's having these incredible days. He's catching 8-pounders, you know, on the same trip out. Like, that happens, but there's going to be times where you struggle a little bit too. So there is no magic bait, and that's why it's important to spend as much time on the deck of the boat or on the bank or on your kayak or wherever you might be. Spend as much time as you can out there. And if you don't have forward-facing sonar, you need to key in other ways, Start looking at the signs that nature gives you. You may not be able to see under the water, but definitely
100%.
try to make a little logbook for next time you're out. Have a little mental checklist that you go through, and sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, but you just got to play the odds.
That's right.
So, but all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and hopefully we'll have you on again, and we can. I don't know. Maybe we'll do the same thing. Maybe we'll dive into some of the forward-facing sonar stuff, or see some video on that here pretty soon. So make sure you check him out on Instagram. Do they just search your name, Dusty Jackson, there?
Yeah, I think it is there. Dusty Jackson, CD Jackson Fishing, and then, come join Swimbait Universe.
There you go.
I do a lot there. I love those people. Instagram, and I'm going to try to start doing the YouTube stuff, but it's just a lot, trying to do all of it. Yeah, it's a ton.
It is, man. But
because at the end of the day, that's one thing I want to say. You start focusing on trying to film it, get all stuff right, and then you're editing, and then you're spending more time doing that than you are fishing.
Yep.
So I tip my hat off to the people that do it and go fishing, because there is a lot going on,
Yeah. Yep. I've definitely been inside editing videos wishing I was fishing.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, we've had some conversations before, but I definitely feel like I know you now a little bit better than I did before, and I'm looking forward to seeing you down in Texas.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think I'm going to try to go, the week before, go to OHIV,
Okay.
3 days, 4 days, and then go to Fork. So it should be fun. If you're more than welcome.
Okay. Hey, consider it done. I'm going to OHIV. My wife's already taken off work. We're going to go down there, and I'm going to make a little trip out of it. We're going to hang out with the homie Edwin probably for a day or so. He's going to cook up some short ribs for us.
There you go. He makes some good food, man. I love you watching that, and I'm like, man, that's some good stuff.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, and I appreciate you for coming on, and we'll see you and talk to you soon. Hopefully we'll see some big fish on Swimbait Universe here before too long.
All right, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have a good night, sir.
You too. All right, guys. There you have it. Dusty Jackson, pretty cool guy, doing his thing over there in North Carolina. And a lot of interaction tonight. I think that, we kind of touched on that too. That sense of community that those Swimbait guys have. So a lot of guys over there in the comment section were from the Swimbait community, and maybe know of Dusty or know him personally. We had Piz on there commenting, like, that's really cool. We had Monster Bait Development. I don't know if Dusty saw that, but they're over here commenting again. So Dusty's a well-known name. He's respected in the Swimbait community, and he's putting in work for sure. He's putting in work, and he's using the tools that are at his disposal to make him more effective on the water. And that's what I'm doing with my electronics when I'm fishing conventional gear. But he's found a way to do that with his big baits as well. Full on committed to big fish, big swim baits, and really cool to see him catching the fish that he does. I know he's had some success in tournaments and stuff like that as well. So he's just doing his thing, and really cool to meet him tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'm sure we'll have him on again in the future. Next week, I intend on having the winner from the Kansas Bass Nation Kayak Series state championship. So hopefully next week, this time, we will be talking to the Kansas state champion who will be representing us at the national championship. And that event will be ran in conjunction with the Bassmaster Classic. So that'll be really cool to see that person, see who comes away with the win, and give them the opportunity to go represent the entire state there. So that's who we plan on having next week. Not sure who that will be, but hopefully they will agree to come on the show. And the week after that, we're going to have Alex Rudd fishing on. So I've been watching Alex Rudd for years. It's kind of a starstruck thing, right? I had Matt Streichel on, and I've been watching him for a really long time. Alex Rudd, I want to say I've been watching him since almost the very beginning of his channel. And those are two guys that in the YouTube world that I'm always paying attention to. I enjoy their content. They're likable people. They're full of knowledge, and they're really relatable. And having those people that I kind of looked up to on my show, like agreeing to come chat with me for an hour, is super humbling. And you know what? It wouldn't be possible without you guys watching. I doubt they would want to come on the show if I didn't have anybody to watch it. So I appreciate you guys, and we're going to do more giveaways. Really want to give another shout out before we sign off here to Big Fish Bullies. Really awesome for them to do that. They are definitely supporting Dusty in his journey in the swimbait world. And sounds like they have some really, really good products. I'm going to check them out myself because I have quite a few friends that have recommended me their stuff before tonight even. So give them a shout as well. Go share those pictures once you get some gear from them. Share those fish catches with them, and that will help them out as well. So make sure you're supporting these companies that are supporting people in the industry. If you see somebody that is being, sponsored, or if they're giving away items, like that all costs money. So give them a look. If they provide a product that you're looking for, give them a look. If you've got a local club, that is sponsored by a company, and you're looking for, a reel, and they sell reels, give them a look first. Don't necessarily have to buy their stuff, but give them a shot, and at earning your business, right? And because we got to keep pumping life back into this if we want to see it continue to grow. So, all right, I'm just rambling here, but it's all from the heart. So, Jason, appreciate you. He says he's going to be there in Texas, so we'll see him in April. And look forward to that. All of you guys that are interested in getting into swimbait fishing, go check out Swimbait Universe. Lots of good knowledge on there. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.